Welcome back to the SPL. North America today, week 4, the final set of the week is about to begin. Taco's on the desk for me to join me through with this one. It's eUnited up against Luminosity. Before we begin, let's have a look how these teams look in the standings.
And as you can tell, eUnited sitting pretty at the very tip top of North America there, practically uncontested. It doesn't really seem like anybody has had a response to this powerhouse over in NA recently, but Splice right on their heels.
But Splice will have to see how Luminosity do today against eUnited. eUnited, though, looking very good still. Taco, probably the great hope of North America, as I'm starting to put it now, looking towards the World Championships. They're the team that seems to be above the rest of North America.
I would have to agree with you right now. I think that there's been a lot of talks about whether or not Space Station's transition with Venenu now fulfilling that mid lane role is going to be as strong of a roster swap as what eUnited has been able to accomplish. But I think that's something that we probably won't really get a better idea of until the actual Worlds event, whether it's via placement or Space Station auto-qualifying through. It's hard to call right now, but one thing's for sure, eUnited looking to just separate the gap even further between themselves and Splice for that first place position by coming home with this Luminosity set.
Exactly, his first versus 6 in this one, and this is the last time those two met. As you can see, eUnited had a whale of a time, 3-0 in the early stages. Good amount of kills for them overall. eUnited looking pretty dominant so far here. A lot of people, like myself included, have been talking a lot about the World Championships and eUnited's potential run there. But first of all, they need to put the rest of the league to bed.
You have to keep in mind, though, that this is where everything comes back to the original starting points. Luminosity, they've gone up against eUnited one time before already. It did not go in a very favorable manner for Luminosity, as I'm sure we all remember, but this time around, now that they are a little bit more familiar with eUnited, now that they've had more time to essentially break down the way that teams are favoring certain gods in the meta and maybe just looking for some better advantages or at least some weak points that they can look to break open there for against eUnited.
Yeah, Luminosity, a couple of roster changes throughout the year. Right now they find themselves with ShadowChair in the mid lane, and his first performance, I believe, was one of them was against eUnited themselves, where they had a bit of a troublesome time. But this was interesting when we saw Kiki on the Morrigan in the solo lane. He was a bit of a hope for this team at that moment. Do you maybe see a bit more Morrigan again for Kiki here?
I don't know about Kiki on the Morrigan. I think that it was useful at the time, back when Kiki was utilizing it, but right now, I think that the focus is just going to be to try and keep ShadowChair safe for this team. I think one thing he has definitely struggled with is his own positioning. And eUnited, keep in mind also that the only match they've lost so far was to Luminosity in their original set.
So the question is then, is when you talk about, protecting ShadowChair, is it better for LG maybe in the set to look at playing to the positions of strength or defending where the weaknesses are? What's more important?
I think that it's odd to say, but you kind of have to do both. Like, you need to compensate for ShadowChair at times, but I also feel like Luminosity are a strong enough team to where players like Weekend and Clout can kind of rise above for the occasion and essentially look to try and punish the backline whenever the front line is looking to just try and focus out ShadowChair.
Okay, well, let's get into picks and bans and see what LG have in store for eUnited today. eUnited will be the first pick, first ban, so in the grand scheme of how the season's been going, second pick seems to have a bit more favourable matchup in the bans and picks department of winning the drafts. But then again, drafts are all about, what people think. It's an opinion thing. It's not really true until the game's played.
It's not a guarantee in the slightest, and knowing eUnited, I highly doubt that we're going to even see them trying to really reveal anything as far as strategies are concerned. I think that they are comfortable enough with their current standings that they can be a little bit more flexible with their god pick selection choices.
We're going to take away Chernobog and Freya in response. LG, no Pele this time for Scream, which we saw him play a little bit earlier on in the week, and the Morrigan taken away just in case Baskin wants to pull that out, but it does leave Athena open. And immediately that's going to be locked in. Very flexible god. We have seen Benji play it now and again. It's not really something that we like to see Benji on in my eyes. I like to see him just running at people.
Oh, I thought you were trolling, by the way, when you said very flexible god. Because
she is flexible.
We see Athena all the time, though, is what I figured.
I meant role-wise. That's what I meant. More than anything else.
I like the response, though, with the Baron. That's clashing control versus control just in two separate ways. Athena a little bit more towards the hard control department, where she has that taunt specifically, as well as the damage mitigation factors from her ultimate, so that's nice. But Baron Erlang is rather aggressive here from Luminosity.
The Erlang so early, I mean, it's more than likely in the jungle at this point in time. You can't really, like, you could potentially put it solo lane, but picking it this early kind of telegraphs that. And I actually like what eUnited instantly responded with here, the Serqet. Both Erlang and Baron do have some sustain in their kits for their teammates or themselves individually. And having an anti-healer on the team that's going to make that 0 for a few moments is very impactful.
I think it's mostly Serqet to try and deal with the Erlang. I imagine that Baron is probably going to just be in the back of eUnited's minds throughout most of their teamfight engagements. At least if they try to take up those fights in the jungle, it'll probably be a bit more favorable for eUnited, simply because you can have the Serqet diving down on top of this Erlang with the last breath plus a defender of Olympus, going to make it very difficult for Luminosity to try and peel anybody off of their jungler.
Not 100% sold that Anhur is going to be in the dual lane just yet, because I've seen quite a lot of Ho Yi from PandaCat lately, and we've seen a couple of double hunters, and Baskin in the mid lane around Anhur would not surprise me, especially when he played Apollo recently. Chunga and Toth are the bands for eUnited. Kukulkan and Achilles clearly focused on towards Benji from Luminosity, but it's back to Luminosity now, looking to round out their roster. Kukulkan, yet again, we've seen it really, only ShadowChair is the one to pick this up so far this split.
And I feel like this is a rather interesting choice for ShadowChair on the mid lane. Kukulkan, normally I wouldn't have too many concerns over it, but it's the fact that we've seen ShadowChair in the past really struggle with positioning as is, so to give him such an immobile god can be a bit problematic here, and eUnited are going to make sure to respond to it appropriately. I like the Scylla because you have the crush damage from afar. You're going to be able to match some of that lane clear early on top of the fact that Benji with the Bellona, I know for a fact he's going to be looking to harass ShadowChair the entire time.
Well, you guys at home get to vote for who you think will win this game. LG's composition, though, it's very slow going in the early game is where I'm kind of looking here. Geb and Rama together, that's going to be a slow pressured lane against potentially Anhur and Athena here. So a lot of pressure available across the map, really. I guess LG just needs to hold on till the team fight stage, really. Get out of the laning phase.
LG need to make it out of the laning phase, but more importantly, they need to make sure that they can keep this Geb alive up until those shields are extremely relevant, because if they're able to get off those nice cleanses to deal with the Scylla roots or the Serqet taunts, even the Athena taunts, I think that then Luminosity could look to counter-initiate onto eUnited, plus with the Spirit of the Nine Winds, you never know where to expect the direction from. Maybe it could come from over a wall from ShadowChair. It's hard to figure it out so soon.
Well, let's see if ShadowChair can stay safe in the mid lane, and whether or not Geno can have a good game on this Geb is going to be important here with this Geb pick. F-Dote and Toli are standing by. Yeah, I called him F-Dote.
Thanks a lot, Hondu. I'm going to go with Hondu. How you feel about that, Toli?
Can't complain.
The Gambler.
That's between you and him.
Yeah?
To quarrel over.
You should call him Hondu.
No. I'll be like one of the spectators from the crowd.
All right.
Taco's the referee.
All right, sounds good. Tom and Natalie on the cast here for eUnited versus Luminosity Gaming. eUnited right now, undefeated.
Pretty strong record, I would say, so far. LG on the complete opposite end, needing to find a couple of victories under their own belt. Going through a little bit of changes right now in their compositions. Clout and the Geb from Geno trying to outclear Panda and PBM.
Yeah, PandaCat taking a little bit of damage, but Geno able to answer back. Baskin on this Scylla is really what I'm looking at. Scylla is a character we don't see all that often. She doesn't really have that great of an early game, and it can be problematic. But Baskin, one of the better mechanical players, one of the safer players as well. Maybe he can navigate the early game. And of course, he's got Screammmmm on the Serqet, somebody that's going to kind of play bodyguard for him in the early game as well.
There's a couple of reasons why this Scylla was picked. Number one, the cripple is going to really shut down what Weaken wants to do. So as long as that occurs, I don't see how Weaken can really get in that back line unless he blinks in. Number two is another waterfall mechanic, and eUnited have two of them. Not only does Baskin have the reset on the Scylla, but the last breath.
There's trouble for ShadowChair, who has breathed his last breath. Scream gets the kill with the in-hand. Baskin on the run now. Geno going to show up. Weaken surrounding. Beads used right now by the mid lane mage. Scream going to take place of Baskin. The life bar a little bit lower, but Baskin turns it around. 2 kills for 1. eUnited on the good side.
And Scream getting that first gold or first blood bounty is going to allow him to just keep being aggressive a little bit ahead of the stacking department. I think Geno's dead here,
He
actually.
might be. Baskin following it up with some basics.
It's a crush, one crush.
Oh, got him!
Oh.
He got him! I did not expect that, Anatoly.
So close. No boots for ShadowChair to be able to play catch-up and wanting to clear the wave instead of finding the kill. Baskin on fire with 2 kills, 1 assist. Should be able to finish that Book of Thoth in less than a minute.
All right, listen, I wasn't lying and I didn't get it incorrect. Scylla has a poor early game. Baskin just out here doing Baskin things, saying, I don't care what the analysis is. 2 kills, 1 assist in under 3 minutes for the late game mage.
Hard to clear the wave, but very easy to find some kills.
Yeah.
With the crush to apply the slow Scream with the follow-up, being able to really capitalize the synergy between these 2 players. Ever since the change happened between summer and the fall split, this team looks entirely different.
eUnited certainly ahead at the moment. First blood bounty in their pocket. Not too many invades just yet, though. eUnited kind of respecting Luminosity's jungle so far, so no real lead to speak of just yet. This Kukulkan, one of the good things that Kukulkan has is just what we see. ShadowChair lays down the tornado and is able to rotate even before the wave dies because he knows he's going to see all of those minions fall thanks to the dot damage. So rotations for ShadowChair should theoretically be easier, right?
Potentially, but the problem is if he rotates, then he's not going to be able to finish off his Book of Thoth stack. So it's a catch-22 where, you do want to be able to find those rotations, but then you have to find that balance of the Book of Thoth stacks, which Baskin already completed. And he'll probably finish those stacks in about 5 minutes' time.
ShadowChair certainly having his own troubles here in the Pro League. Really hasn't impressed too many people, myself included. Has had some struggles as his call-up from the minor league has not been as successful as some other players. Players like Paul come to mind who kind of have seamlessly moved into the Pro League, which is a rarity, I will say. Paul's exemplary performance in the Pro League is kind of the exception to the rule. I usually expect players to kind of look a little shaky coming in, especially because we always talk about meta with respect to characters and how strong they are patch to patch, but the metagame of different players, certainly a different story, minor league to Pro League. PandaCat uses the ultimate to no avail there, 5-4. On the levels between Panda and NotGeno. But back to ShadowChair real quick. We've seen the shaky games, and now I kind of want him to be coming into himself and stepping up, and I just haven't seen that totally. I don't think this call-up has worked for LG.
The thing is, playing for Luminosity Gaming, you got to be prepared to get barked at by Weekend. He's kind of like the general, commanding his troops, and ShadowChair coming in as a rookie, as a recruit, basically, is going through boot camp.
Sure.
And he needs to have the thick skin and the personality to be able to take those orders and execute accordingly, considering how much experience Weekend has in the Pro League, in the Console League, just being able to understand the strategies that works for himself and his teammates, and ShadowChair needs to step it up.
Right side, trouble as the jungle and solo start mix and matching. Help from Athena as she teleports. Scream. Gonna use the beads to avoid the taunt from Weekend. But also allow Weekend to get on out of there. eUnited with the blue buff invade. Kiki can't really get around the corner. Looks like Kiki was unable to really defend that one. Down south, of course. Benji able to pick his up, no problem. He's going to do that by himself.
An interesting start for Benji, considering he's up against the Baron Samedi out of Kiki, still rushing the Berserker shield. It's going to have Scream absorb some of these minions so that they don't go to waste, while Benji having to teleport back and finish off the Ninja Tabai is a huge power spike now before Kiki even has a lot of physical defense. He has about 20 on that breastplate, a little bit more extra on the Guardian's Blessing, but this Bellona is going to start to hurt with the bludgeons.
Yeah, the bludgeon is definitely where Benji's going to look to go. The Bellona has come in and out of the metagame here in the Pro League. Not too many people kind of picking her as often as we see Benji, in all honesty. The up-down is good to get the stun onto Kiki, but no tower dive just yet. Why does Benji like this character so much? And let's talk more generally. What has brought Bellona back into the world?
A lot of it has to come to the late game hunters, sometimes even going double hunters. The Freyas of the world is not a bad idea to find the disarm. Benji, without Eagle's rally, is getting ganked.
Yeah, he's just going to get smoked up. Easy peasy for Weekend. That is Classic solo lane communication. Totally, how many times have you said, use the ultimate, come kill, and just clean up?
Oh, absolutely. The dash or the shield bash, not long enough distance to get out of the life of the party, and as a result, Weekend and Kiki, they have a lot of history together, playing way back in 2015 in the snipe days. So no strangers to communicating with one another. And that was an interesting call for Benji to make, wanting to avoid a little bit of damage from Kiki and not allow him to heal just to get the lane control. But if you don't consider Weekend as a threat, you're highly mistaken.
Scream gonna get laced up. Oh, the combination. Ultimate from Geno, the pin down from Weekend, and the big body slam coming out of ShadowChair. Big boy ultimate out of the mid lane mage. Last hit goes to Weekend.
I like the play, though, from Scream, trying to use the last breath to be able to get those invulnerability frames. Unfortunately, he did it a little bit too early. If you don't have eyes behind your head, you don't know exactly how close that ultimate is out of ShadowChair. Also, what direction it is, because maybe he was leaning it towards the other side of the wall. So Scream not able to get out of that one, but still, eUnited looking relatively clean despite all that.
Yeah, of course you have the audio cue, but that doesn't tell you near, far, or what direction it's being shot in. There's always, and I think this is something that everybody can relate to that's played Smite at home. You hear the Kukulkan behind you, Weekend getting out of trouble there, and you don't know to dodge left or right.
Yep.
You just pick one, and either you die or you don't.
That's true. Left, right, or middle. Don't even juke. Sometimes the no juke is the best juke.
The non-juke?
The non-juke, it gets a lot of people, trust me.
That's a classic Laz's comment. The non-juke is the best juke. Been all the way back since watching Laz's, man. What a guy. eUnited here tied up with LG in the early stages of the game. 3-3 and 24 thou on goal as well. Nothing really standing out as far as a lead is concerned. Weekend with about a half a level above Scream, but I think that's relatively irrelevant. And ShadowChair was kind of falling behind, but able to find that assist off of the big setup from the enemy, from the Weekend jungler. So Luminosity has been able to hang so far. But for LG, this is what they want. They just want to hang out. They want to kind of stick to it. But very soon, I want to see them look for these objectives, because if they hang on for too long, if they play the waiting game for too much time, then Baskin is just going to be this wrecking ball of damage, and you're going to have a late game Scylla to deal with.
That's true. But there's still a lot of late game damage also from LG's side. Clout is to not be denied between his Rama, and ShadowChair is a decent amount of late game damage. Granted, it's not like Scylla level where she can get 5. Technically, she could get off 5 ultimates if all things go perfectly, but in a realistic world, that's unlikely.
Clout gets picked up by the taunt. Walks away after using the beads. Benji's ultimate is on cooldown, and Kiki's going to communicate that one more time.
Not going to be able to find the damage to disrupt the back, and that is a huge win. Teleport is going to have to be used now, but with physical defense for Kiki, he's able to get these trades. Good tornado from ShadowChair, going to prevent any follow-up.
That's one of the big things that I like about Kukulkan, is his ability to zone players. Weekend and Kiki here, wishing somebody would zone for Benji as he goes down again and again. Totally uses the ultimate to get out of jail, and then that's the first conversation that Kiki's having. Benji used the ultimate, come gank.
There needs to be some wards now on the right side of the map, because we can basically set up a tent outside of Benji's lane. If there's no Eagles rally, it's going to be there like clockwork.
Yeah, just over and over again, just making sure to take care of Benji on the Bellona. Especially Weekend, he's got some of the abilities to taunt her in and really control. Kiki's going to slow her down. This is, usually you look at the Warriors and say you don't really want to gank them, it's too problematic, but the solo laner is magical and the jungler is physical, so Benji's not as tanky against Weekend as other solo laners might be.
And he could have gotten away with it. Like, you don't have to go physical defense right away to deal with Weekend, but without Eagles Rally to give you the protections, you're not going to turn around that gank. Bellona's known to turn a gank on its head in a 1v2, depending if you juke a couple abilities. If you disarm the Erlang Shen after he uses the Mink form, well, you're basically taking away a lot of that steroid. So it's a good counter matchup, but he needs to save that Eagles Rally for the gank.
Yeah, make sure to either look for the up down and fight into it, ton of protections in that circle, or just get aggressive. Geno going to be walked past as the ultimate comes out. Clout He's up in the sky, but Scream brings him all the way down to the ground by way of the dot damage from the ult. Weekend and ShadowChair are here, but I think this is it.
That's going to be it. A clean pick-off. Clout was not expecting the zigzag deathbane to get a little bit closer just to apply the last breath. Also, didn't really have the beads available. Still down for 20 seconds. Good recognition from eUnited's jungler, where there's capitalization on the solo side for LG. There's the opposite effect for eUnited.
So right now, both these teams kind of tied up here at Atoli. PandaCat trying to break that situation.
Tower could be dead. I like the placement of the pillar as well because it cuts off Geno from going in front of his own tower to absorb some of these basic attacks from PandaCat, which would have basically forced a target switch to start chunking PandaCat, forcing him to reset the tower aggro.
Yeah, I think that was the game plan there from Luminosity. Smart plays. PandaCat here on the Anhur. Standard build so far. Lifesteal and then the booties. Nothing too out of control. Clout going in the same direction.
But
albeit
stacks.
Yeah, a ton less stacks. 17 for Clout and 69. All right, now all 70 stacked up here for Panda. So Panda's already done stacking, and Clout's got a long way to go.
A huge power spike. eUnited need to start capitalizing on this and bullying out Clout even further because there's a 3-level disparity between these two players. Now, Rama is known to struggle in general against Anhur players, but this is just really absurd considering that there's only one death for Clout. It was a lot of zoning for PandaCat to be able to find this little bit of a lead and just out-farm potentially even in their back camps.
At the same time, Clout definitely on the late game character.
That's a lot of damage on a get this early.
Geno just blown up.
No magical defense right now. It's going for the Breastplate of Valor. An uncommon start
That's
for
weird.
support. This is more of your solo traditional style, but more cooldown reduction means there's more shields, more Cataclysm engagements. And eUnited, no hesitation, starting the Gold Fury 13 minutes in.
They've got Baskin here, and they're going to be able to rush it right on down. eUnited take the Gold Fury. Nice try by Clout. I do respect the Ram shots trying to steal it away. Won't be able to. eUnited now take away the lead. Luminosity looking for the consolation prize. And the Pyromancer goes in their direction. Nice and easy. Tied game again.
Ultimate out of ShadowChair even being used to confirm it. Not really sure if that was necessary, but considering they had no eyes on Benji, a little safe than sorry. A lot of vision on the Fire Giant side this early, trying to really control it is little LG, making sure that neither Kiki or ShadowChair, these two mages, is going to deal with any early game shenanigans.
United now looking for Clout.
It's just
aggressive
like that.
in the enemy jungle. Beads used.
That's all you need to do out of PBM is you scare Clout. You don't have to all-in commit. And that's a huge window now. 150 seconds, 2.5 minutes for eUnited to do whatever they please with Clout.
And now, exactly, now they have the opportunity to actually pull him in to find that kill. I love how quickly United walked away. They just taunted, saw beads, and went, okay, sure. See you later. I think a lot of lower-end teams, a lot of newer squads, people getting to that competitive level, wind up seeing that play, trying to wait out the beads, try to push it forward, actually take advantage of it that time. You've got all the time in the world. 2 minutes in smite time is a lot.
I thought Geno didn't have much time left in this world, but narrowly able to avoid one ability, but can't avoid the second one. Scream with the last breath. ShadowChair from a distance.
Just short! Just short! Scream was just out of range. Baskin's going to be able to take down Weekend. 2 players dead on the side of LG. Scream gets shot out of the clouds by Clout. But there's the answer back. It's 4 for 1. Baskin out of control here. The mid lane mage for eUnited. 2,000 gold in the lead. Tier 1 tower being aggressed on in the middle lane.
Oh, ShadowChair. Baskin is going in by himself. He's the one taking the tower. Benji with the hot cleanup. Forced to use the Aegis, but it doesn't matter because eUnited walk away with the deicide. Not going to go for Fire Giant without the Alma Monster, but man, eUnited really flexing on LG today.
That was just the decision to get the kill. I looked at ShadowChair. He was surrounded. Why did he back off to begin with?
I think after losing the ultimate, it was just, that's it. ShadowChair had no business in the remainder of that team fight. He needed to disengage. The rest of his teammates were getting heavily focused. Geno fell very early in the encounter, forced to use a Cataclysm that was untimely, doing it only on Scream, and ShadowChair wasn't quite ready for it, it looked like. If that ultimate came out a second earlier, I think Scream might die.
It's possible. It's certainly possible. I was looking at that, and I was trying to figure things out as far as what might have happened. Baskin, though, hits the ultimate, finds the follow-up as well.
This is why Scylla was picked for Baskin, to counter the Erlang Shen. Basically a solo kill. Just now hitting level 17. Look, he's 4 items deep with Polynomicon. The burst damage is out of control now. No real magical defense for Weekend to speak about. Working on what looks to be the Enchile to stop Baskin in his tracks.
Yeah, just looking at Baskin again, this is just a flavor pick. Kiki's getting it out of the hand of Scream. I've always liked this Scylla. I mean, we got memed a while back for bringing it up, but I don't care. I'll say it every time. Well, we'll wait for it as Geno gets in trouble. Nice ultimate coming out from ShadowChair. Not enough to kill Scream as he avoids the tornado.
That's so important.
If he gets knocked up into the tornado, that's a dead jungler.
I think so. ShadowChair trying to get away. Book of the Dead, not enough to keep himself alive. Benji trying to steal that one away. PandaCat's like, no, no, no.
Oh, man, that one. I got the stink face on.
Yeah, you do.
That one hurt to watch, just straight up.
Like
Weekend
that?
with the pop, pop.
Yeah, that kind of hurt right there.
Baskin just out here being Mr. Pop, making sure everybody just getting clean. 6-0-6. Oh, my goodness. And again, this is a late game pick.
Scream is just toying with Clout. Clout can't do anything now. He really can't. He's dead.
Fire Giant goes down. Clout immediately walks away. And Scream goes, what if I sent you to the base myself?
Yeah, there was nothing that Clout could have realistically done there, unfortunately. Unless he ulties a little bit certain. Like, not. Even then, he's still dead. There's nothing he could have done.
Nothing at all?
I mean, nothing that would have kept him alive.
Oh. Yeah, I guess so.
Unless he had Blink. Like, then maybe.
He does not.
Yeah, so. He's just trying to get his stacks, man. He's still trying to get a stack. He needs one last stack.
Baskin, on the other hand, certainly making those stacks. 6-0-6 for the mid lane mage.
PBM, just having fun with Kiki. Using that ultimate, realizes, okay, Weekend's here. It's no longer a 1v1 fair fight.
Gold Fury. eUnited. 10,000 gold in the lead now for the red, white, and blue. Only 20 minutes in here, this one. We had quick game, even in the minor league. What was that? A 17-minute, 30-something seconds. Now, obviously, this is past that point, but 19 minutes and a 10,000 gold lead. I mean, this is also a significant lead at a significant moment in time.
And a lot of it has to come down to the draft. After the Athena for eUnited, LG go for the Baron Erlang Shen. Now, I'm not saying Erlang Shen is not worth a pick, because it certainly is, but why draft it this early on and at the same time allow eUnited to pick up the Serqet? Weekend can play a mean Serqet in his own right. I'm surprised that we don't see the Serqet Kukulkan combination for themselves.
It's probably the fact that Erlang Shen is considered to be a weaker pick. You know? So just going for it there. Scream, taking him down.
No
With
healing.
the advent of Berserker Shield, the Erlang Shen is certainly a little bit more interesting.
And you're picking Erlang Shen knowing Serqet is up, knowing that last breath is going to prevent you from getting that heal, which we just saw there. That's exactly why Weekend was not able to escape that encounter.
I think it's about getting to the back line. The Erlang Shens have been very successful in just going into turtle form, knocking up front line, getting to the back line, and trying to just harass the damage dealers.
That's possible. Knockups are very powerful in Smite. I won't disagree with you there. A taunt onto Kiki, gonna force the Geb shield, but the last breath Cobra's Kiss is great forms of CC on top of it. If you're talking about getting in the back line, well, junglers are just going to be able to pick up Blink anyway at level 12. I'm just a heavy fan of Serqet.
I mean, here we go. Heavy everything in the middle lane. PolarBearMike getting some of the nonsense. PandaCat going to absorb Weekend's pin. Benji now leading as the rest of the team going to filter in here in the middle lane. 90% on the Phoenix. Big damage on the Geno as it comes from the crush. And PandaCat gonna file his ultimate down Broadway. Ultimate hits 2 players, Scream and the very tanky PolarBearMike. This is a successful defensive set from Luminosity Gaming. And it looks like at least one member from LG. No. All right.
Clout used his beads there. Now, Baskin was very early, or very quick to use that ultimate, or at least detonate it, right? He goes into I'm a Monster, and he just snap uses it, not even trying to wait for more accuracy. And surprisingly enough, not using it in conjunction with the Athena taunt or the Eagles rally from Benji is a little surprising. I think that eUnited had some serious kill potential there, but instead using the taunt with the crush, slowly chipping away at LG. But because of how much cooldown reduction Geno has with the Breastplate of Valor, he's able to throw those shields effortlessly, just keeping up with all the taunts from PBM.
Not the hugest fan of BOV on supports, but I think Geb is one of those characters that absolutely does ask for CDR. Can you play him with that? I'm not going to say he needs to have CDR because you can absolutely play this character with it, but he asks for it. I think just being able to shield players as often as possible is one of the most impactful things that Geb can do. Sure, the knock him in, but that shield is so important. Crowd control cleanse as well as a ton of extra health. And that's the move right there.
But the thing is, the BOV doesn't give you the extra health, right? Like,
exactly.
You're trying to get more tankiness. Sure, physical protection helps you there, but not having the health in general is going to hurt in the long run. So finding a couple kills onto Geno in the early game because of that Breastplate of Valor, because Baskin has so much damage behind him on the magical front.
Do you want to see Kiki, do you want to see that Breastplate of Valor on Geno be paired up with something that does have a ton of HP, like a Bulwark or something?
Sure, but now he went for the Hardware Amulet and the Mad Guy's Cloak, so that's covering that option. It's just a different way of going about it. Bulwark Hope, a little bit more selfish than the Hardware Amulet. You know, you're not getting the magical protections if you go for the Bulwark. And I think this is the better case, honestly, because the MP5 alongside Breastplate and Hardware Amulet helps Geno spam more of those abilities. And these teamfights can last forever, honestly. LG are really relying on Geno's sustainability in these teamfights.
Usually when you look at CDR and the ability to rotate your abilities in a team fight, as a mage, if you're building CDR so you can cast multiple abilities in one match, or one team fight, you're probably doing it wrong. Whereas with a support player, I do want to see as many shields as possible. 4 players surround 1.
Weekend is saying get soloed, idiot.
That's exactly what he's saying. And PolarBearMike's saying, okay, just once.
Everyone gets one. That's what he's saying right now. But Fire Giant was taken by eUnited.
Gold Fury's up next. That's going to finish it off. Easy peasy for eUnited so far. Luminosity Gaming trailing by almost... yeah.
A lot.
This is what I thought. Almost 20,000 gold.
This is getting almost insurmountable for LG to come back into this game. But PBM not here, however, having the Defender of Olympus. Could see some left side sieges. Yet again, going for this Sunder on the Athena. Good combination to burst down a lot of these players. But Blink on the Athena is also a little surprising. Not having the shell or the sprint for anyone out of eUnited.
This is the classic PolarBearMike. PolarBearMike has a clan in-game named Blink Sunder. This is one of his go-to combinations. The Athena taunt guarantees the Sunder, and then she blinks, finds her back line, taunts into the Sunder, into whatever else her teammates are doing, and then somebody's dead.
And I like what Benji did there. Pop the Scourge onto Kiki, gets the Mad Guy's Cloak immediately off of him. Watch for the blink taunt from PBM onto Kiki.
We're going to look for it, but he's putting combat here.
Maybe just a dash taunt, or just walking up and taunting.
There it is, LG Kiki's put down to about half. Still, a marked defensive effort from Luminosity Gaming. United able to step up a little bit. Here comes life for the party. Kiki not going to find it. And ShadowChair right in between everybody, but Benji's the first one to die. Big taunt coming out from Weekend. PolarBearMike finds himself at about 10% HP. And with Benji down for the count, This is Luminosity Gaming just playing strong defense.
Oh, the crush was not available after the Rue. Kiki could be in trouble still. Here comes Scream, last breath of a monster!
And he
gets
is!
the kill. Going for more. Clout not going to be able to get that one that time, but still answering 1 for 1.
eUnited looking really good there. Mid laner Baskin making the plays, but again, PolarBearMike setting him right up. He's going to come right on back, 4 players strong. And eUnited coming up the middle lane. PandaCat leading the charge. PolarBearMike literally charging on in. Baskin lays the crush on the left side, funneling players onto the right side. Baskin now has free lanes to go on piling the basics in. And now PandaCat piling the damage and getting another kill. Down goes the support. Geno not alive. And with 2 Phoenixes down, the team looking for the push. PolarBearMike incoming.
The taunt onto Weaken. Benji going to be able to teleport back in to the Titan room. It is going to be a 5-on-3. Weaken, ShadowChair, Clout. The defense
That's it.
not successful.
That's it. eUnited on the left side focusing on the Titan side. And down it will go 27-24 on the game clock. And eUnited do it with a 20,000 gold lead. Well done.
Very well done, honestly. A lot of success off of Baskin on the Scylla. So much action in the first couple of minutes. That little 2v2 skirmish around level 2,
Yeah.
just for those left side mid harpies. You can really tell how frisky all 4 of those players were. I think Baskin got the better end of that because he went 2-0-1, being able to find those kills to finish off that Book of Thoth very quickly. And because of the Breastplate of Valor from Geno, he couldn't survive that damage from Baskin.
Is Baskin your most valuable player?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, strong looks coming out from the mid laner. Of course, we'll pull you guys out there in Mixer World. And looking at the grand scheme of things, eUnited certainly on the up and up. These guys are still undefeated as far as the standings are concerned, and they're looking to keep it that way, especially looking at the way that this game went. Fantastic performance from the boys here. I like what Baskin had to do, but I'm always looking at PolarBearMike.
I mean, 2 solo kills onto Weaken. Like Baskin with the Polynomicon. When you're that kind of an early game lead and you're confident enough to really start flexing on the opposition with Polynomicon, you kind of deserve it.
Very, very true. I'm going to call a truce. Let's toss it back to the very accomplished and beautiful Graham Hinduman Hadfield.
I thought you were going to say Taco then. He's trying to be nice all of a sudden. Well, eUnited win very nice.
He's trying to get
there.
extra gems. That's what it's all
He's
about.
not going to get him, I'll tell you that much. Talking about that set, though, eUnited came out flying at the start. Quick kills for Baskin there. Trifecta LG did manage to even things up for a moment, but that gold swing that Baskin got in the early game, he just caused so many problems as that game continued, and then eUnited just played with their food for 20 minutes.
We were talking about it the moment that we saw that play unfold behind the scenes even. It was Baskin with a 3-minute Book of Thoth. There is no better start that you could possibly have for a mage at that, and quite frankly, I'm surprised that ShadowChair didn't end up dying more often because of how far of a lead Baskin was able to develop off of that one play alone.
Yeah, but the biggest issue for that game, though, overall, was just eUnited ran rampant overall. Like, every lane was in a deficit, and Luminosity didn't know which way to turn at the end of the day. Beautiful performance from eUnited, though, and it shows the reason why they are #1.
It was a very clean performance, and I think that all in all, eUnited are probably going to be feeling very satisfied with the way that they continuously kept Luminosity choked out of the jungle.
Yeah.
They were taking every scrap of farm and hardly even leaving anything for Luminosity. They were forced to leech lanes from each other way too often. That was further adding on to that detriment that was building up already in experience and gold. And then as the match dragged on, because it felt like it was probably dragging on for Luminosity.
Sure.
This is a rather quick one from eUnited, but I definitely just think that Baskin became untouchable, and there was no one who could stand up to him.
And shockingly enough, with 24,000 player damage, Baskin will be the MVP. It's not a real shock to say that, but here's the play at the beginning of the game that helped him out so much. The survival, the slow, the crush, it's not too difficult. It was a close one overall, but the fact that he got the second kill out of that was very monumental.
That smile is probably the same face he was making right after he kills Geno with the crush at the end here. Yeah. I love the placement and the patience as well. The moment he starts pushing forward, Geno knows, tries to throw on the juke shoes, but the Nikes did not come out in time here. And that's what sealed the deal there for that Book of Thoth rush onto Baskin.
Yeah, and that Book of Thoth then turned into Boots and Polynomicon too, and that's where the lead really started to mount, because it was 4-4 just before that play there. where he manages to open the gap up a little bit more so. And as the game came longer and longer, the damage was more and more, and there was no way back in for LG with the Polynomicon Book of Tothrush.
It's just very abusable on the Scylla, especially. Yeah, this is just
That's rough.
what more are you really meant to do in that sort of position when Baskin can sit at your T2 tower line waiting around the bend until you push up. And Weekend, what is he really meant to do there? I mean,
No, he's nothing he can do.
It's really just unfortunate series of events whenever a mid laner, especially Baskin at that, gets so far ahead.